Welcome to your deep dive.
Oh, cool.
Today, we're stepping into the world of Djinn.
Okay.
Not just the stories, but a whole system of knowledge about them.
Wow.
It's like someone compiled a guide to understanding these beings, starting from basic encounters all the way up to, well, let's just say things get pretty intense.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how this document lays out levels of understanding,
Right.
almost like an initiation into hidden lore.
Yeah, like secret knowledge.
Exactly.
Oh, well,
Level 1, First Encounters, sets the stage.
makes sense.
Djinn are magical, created from smoke and fire,
Cool.
fundamentally different from us mortals formed from Earth.
So right away, there's this sense of otherness,
Absolutely.
and the document doesn't sugarcoat it.
Mm.
Past interactions between humans and Djinn
Yeah,
haven't been pretty.
definitely not.
We're talking slavery being worshipped, even eaten.
Yes, that detail immediately piques our curiosity and perhaps a bit of fear.
Yeah, for sure.
You get the sense that the power dynamic is heavily skewed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This source is almost like a survival guide.
Like, watch out.
Exactly, warning that even basic encounters with Djinn are best avoided.
And it mentions curses.
Oh,
Not just like a spell,
right.
but a vague sense of lingering danger.
Or a curse that follows you around.
Yeah, and what struck me is that the document doesn't define what a curse entails.
Interesting.
It's more like, you messed up, now deal with the consequences.
Exactly. The unknown is often more terrifying than a defined threat.
Right.
It forces you to confront the potential consequences of crossing these beings.
Definitely.
That sets the tone for the whole document.
Okay, so Djinn are powerful,
Huh.
potentially dangerous, and not to be trifled with.
You got it.
But then we get to level 2, the tribes emerge.
Okay.
And it's not just one type of Djinn we're dealing with.
Right. This is where the complexity ramps up.
It gets more interesting.
We learn about 6 distinct tribes:
6?
Jinn, Jan, Marid, Ifrit, Shaitan, and Gulo.
Wow, that's a lot.
Each tribe has its own characteristics, almost like different species within the Jinn world.
I was immediately drawn to the Djinn.
Oh, yeah.
They're described as the most populous tribe
Uh-huh.
and seem to have a thing for interacting with mortals.
Interesting.
Some even become nearly human-like, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
But then you have the Yan,
Right.
who prefer to hang out in desert oases.
Ooh.
Imagine their influence on travelers desperate for water.
Absolutely. That control over vital resources makes them powerful players.
Powerful indeed.
And the diversity doesn't stop there.
Well, there's more.
The document introduces Padishah Ishaq bin Assad,
Okay,
a figure seemingly feared even by Jinn.
that's impressive.
He was the only mortal known to control them,
Wow.
which makes you wonder what level of magic and will he possessed.
Almost like a legendary Djinn whisperer.
I like that.
And then there's this mention of Anks, those cross loop symbols.
I've seen those.
They're considered good luck charms,
Right.
but are said to draw the attention of Djinn.
Oh.
So is that good luck or bad luck?
That ambiguity is a constant thread throughout this document.
I see.
It's like a warning that any interaction with Jinn,
Yeah.
even seemingly positive ones,
Well,
carries an element of risk.
gotcha. So it's like playing with fire a little bit.
Exactly.
And things get even more complicated in level 3, a divided world.
Huh.
This is where we learn about a pivotal event that split the Djinn world.
A Jinn sheikh had a vision that forced the tribes to choose sides.
Oh, wow.
Essentially, are you with mortals or against them?
Oh, so like a dividing line.
Exactly.
And what happened?
The Jinn and Jan aligned with humans,
Okay.
while the Shaitan Ghul and Ifrit, influenced by some kind of demonic force within the Ifrit, went the opposite way.
So there were some clear sides drawn there.
Yes, very much so.
And then you have the Marid, those independent thinkers, choosing their own paths.
Right.
It's like the Djinn world isn't just good versus bad,
I see.
but a complex web of alliances and agendas.
And the document is careful to remind us that even the Jinn aligned with mortals aren't necessarily benevolent. They can still be dangerous if it suits their needs.
So no easy answers there.
Definitely not.
But this level also hints at a fascinating detail.
Hmm.
Some Djinn are vulnerable to certain metals, like iron or copper.
Oh, that's interesting.
What's the deal with that?
The document doesn't explicitly say why,
Okay.
but it definitely raises questions.
Yeah, like why?
Is it a magical weakness?
Mm.
Does it disrupt their energy form?
Oh, that's a good question.
This vulnerability adds another layer of intrigue to these beings.
It's like each level unlocks a new piece of the puzzle,
It does.
But it also reveals more questions.
Absolutely.
And I'm especially curious about the specifics of those tribes.
Right.
Like what truly sets them apart.
Well, level 4 dives into 2 of them, the Djinn and the Ifrit,
Okay.
providing a closer look at their unique characteristics
Interesting.
and roles within the Djinn world.
The Djinn, as we mentioned, are known for their intellect and interaction with humans.
Uh-huh.
The document even mentions their legendary flying carpets.
Oh, wow.
Now that's an image that sticks with you.
Yeah, I can just imagine it.
They can also shapeshift,
Cool.
taking on forms like smoke mist eagles or even humans.
It's amazing how they can transform like that.
And remember that vulnerability to copper?
Right, copper? That seems to be a significant detail.
It really does.
Now contrast that with the Ifrit,
Okay.
who are described as intensely hostile to mortals.
Oh,
They dwell in desolate places, defending their territory with extreme violence.
that sounds scary.
The document actually highlights a historical Ifrit leader named Iblis,
Okay.
who was corrupted by demonic influence.
Oh,
That backstory helps explain their deeply ingrained hostility.
makes sense then why they'd be so aggressive.
Exactly.
And their forms are pretty terrifying.
Uh-huh.
Dust tornadoes, magical sand camels, even fire-breathing scorpions and serpents.
That's intense.
It's a stark contrast to the Djinn's more ephemeral forms.
Definitely.
The document makes it clear that encountering an Ifrit is rarely a survivable event.
I wouldn't want to run into one.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But there's that glimmer of hope again.
Oh, yeah.
They're vulnerable to iron.
Iron, that's interesting.
So you have these two powerful tribes,
Yeah.
the Djinn with their intellectual curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ifrit with their raw power and aggression.
It's a clash of opposites.
It makes you wonder how these contrasting forces play out in the larger Djinn world.
Exactly. And as we delve deeper into this document,
Well.
we'll uncover even more about the intricate relationship
Okay.
and power dynamics between these tribes.
Uh-huh.
The Djinn world is far more complex than it first appears.
I'm excited to keep learning more about it. It's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion,
Uh-huh.
each level revealing a new facet of the Djinn world.
I like that analogy.
In level 5, we meet two more tribes,
Okay.
the Djinn and the Ghoul.
Oh.
And these are some interesting characters.
To say the least.
Yeah.
The Djinn, we learn, are allies of the Djinn,
Uh-huh.
but with a distinct personality.
Okay.
They're described as more conservative and individualistic. What really caught my eye is their control over oases.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the power they hold,
Right?
especially in a harsh desert environment.
Imagine a caravan desperate for water
Yeah.
at the mercy of a John.
It's a life or death situation.
It really is. And the John's forms are so intriguing.
Yeah, what are they?
They could appear as white camels or sand whirlwinds.
So cool.
It's like a blend of the familiar and the utterly alien.
I love it.
And let's not forget,
Yeah.
they're vulnerable to copper,
Copper again.
just like the Djinn.
This metal seems to be a recurring theme.
It does.
It makes me wonder if there's a deeper connection between copper and the essence of certain Djinn.
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Johns are powerful,
Uh-huh.
but there's a sense they could be reasoned with.
Maybe.
Then we have the Ghoul.
Oh, boy.
Talk about nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
These beings are described as completely corrupted, driven by a ravenous hunger that never seems to be satisfied.
The Ghoul are the predators of this world,
Yeah.
stalking the wastes between cities, preying on both the living and the dead.
And the document even mentions their habit of haunting gravesites,
Oh, that's creepy.
which adds a whole other layer of creepiness.
To their already fearsome reputation.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting that the Ghoul are also described as being very superstitious.
Oh, that's interesting.
Could that be a potential weakness? A way to outsmart them?
It's an intriguing possibility.
Yeah.
It suggests that even these seemingly mindless creatures have vulnerabilities that can be exploited. But caution is key,
Right.
because the Ghoul are also known for their cunning.
Oh.
They use deception, sometimes disguising themselves as pilgrims to infiltrate caravans.
Oh, wow. So you can't even trust who you see.
Nope.
So it's not just brute force with the Ghoul.
Right.
There's a real intelligence at work.
Yeah.
Which makes them even more terrifying.
Definitely.
And their forms, whirlwinds and vultures,
Oh, yeah.
are so perfectly suited to their predatory nature.
The whirlwind embodying their chaotic and destructive hunger.
Right.
The vulture, their scavenging and association with death.
Powerful imagery.
It's a potent image, and let's not forget,
Yeah.
They have a weakness, iron.
Right. Iron, another metal, another vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole system of elemental weaknesses built into the Djinn world.
I like how that all ties together.
But we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
Level 6 takes us to the Marid and the Shaitan.
Okay.
Two tribes that couldn't be more different.
Really?
The Marids are fascinating.
Oh, how so?
They're the smallest tribe,
Okay.
but also the oldest and strongest.
Wow.
They dwell near coasts
Interesting.
and have control over the weather,
Seriously?
which makes them incredibly powerful forces to be reckoned with.
Wow. That's intense.
Imagine the ability to summon storms,
Yeah.
to control the tides.
That's power on a whole other level.
And their forms are so diverse.
What kind of forms?
Waterspouts, porpoises, horses, even old men. It's like they embody the unpredictable nature of the sea itself.
And their relationship with mortals is equally ambiguous. How so? Some Marid are described as benevolent,
Okay.
while others are hostile.
Oh.
You never quite know what you're going to get.
Definitely a tribe you approach with caution.
For sure.
Now contrast that with the Shaitan,
Okay.
master deceivers, manipulators, and allies of the Ifrit and Ghul.
Not a good combination.
They seem to be firmly on the anti-mortal side of things.
What struck me about the Shaitan is that their primary motivation seems to be pride.
Oh, really?
It's almost like their arrogance is their defining characteristic.
So maybe there's a way to outsmart them,
May?
to appeal to their vanity or exploit their sense of superiority.
It's like a psychological game,
Yeah.
rather than a purely physical confrontation.
And their forms are so fitting for their deceitful nature.
What are they?
Smoke clouds, jackals, black camels,
Interesting.
even beautiful women,
Oh, wow.
but always with a subtle animalistic feature that betrays their true nature.
So you have to look closely.
It's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving,
Yeah,
especially in the world of Djinn.
definitely.
And like some of the other tribes, the Shaitan have a specific vulnerability, iron,
Iron, again, it's like this metal is key to understanding them.
another piece of the puzzle.
It seems like this document is slowly revealing a system,
Mm.
a way to understand and perhaps even navigate
Right.
the dangers of the Djinn world.
And this level also revisits those Ankh symbols,
Oh, right.
emphasizing the risks and allure associated with them.
It's like a forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Beautiful and tempting,
Right.
but with potentially dangerous consequences.
Exactly. The Ankhs perfectly symbolize the gamble inherent in any interaction with Djinn.
I agree.
The potential rewards are great,
Yeah.
but the risks are equally high.
But now we move into even deeper territory.
Over.
We've met the tribes,
Right.
but what about their origins,
Okay.
their life cycle?
That's a good question.
Level 7 tackles the enigma of life and death in the Djinn world.
This is where things get really interesting and honestly a little creepy.
I'm intrigued.
The document flat out states that there are no records of Djinn children.
Seriously?
How are they born?
I don't know.
Do they even age the way we do?
It challenges our understanding of life itself.
It really does.
It makes you wonder if Djinn reproduction is something entirely beyond our comprehension.
But the document does acknowledge that Djinn take mortal lovers,
Ah.
and those unions can result in offspring with magical abilities.
That makes sense.
So it's possible for Djinn blood to be passed down through human lineages
Wow.
for a seemingly ordinary person to suddenly manifest magical powers generations later.
That's a cool concept.
Imagine the implications of that.
It's a tantalizing thought.
Yeah.
A hidden legacy, a power waiting to be awakened.
And it's not just humans that Djinn mate with.
Oh.
The document mentions that many of the magical creatures in the desert are the result of Djinn mating with animals.
That's interesting.
It's like they're blurring the lines between species,
I see.
creating these hybrid beings that exist somewhere between the Djinn world and our own.
So cool.
But what about death?
Yeah.
Is it even possible to kill a Djinn?
That's another mystery the document explores.
And what does it say?
While we know about vulnerabilities to certain metals,
Yeah.
there are no confirmed accounts of anyone actually slaying a Djinn.
Really?
It's as if they exist on a different plane, beyond our usual methods of destruction.
There are even cryptic references to seemingly harmless actions that might result in a Djinn's demise.
Oh, like what?
Things like verbal curses or throwing small objects near them.
Interesting.
It's like there are hidden rules,
Yeah.
a secret vulnerability that we don't fully understand.
It adds a whole other layer of caution.
Yeah.
You never know what might trigger a Djinn's demise,
That's scary.
intentionally or accidentally.
It's both fascinating and terrifying.
I agree.
But there's something beyond fear at play here. There's a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
especially as we move into level 8
Oh,
and encounter a fundamental difference between Djinn and mortals.
What is it?
And this is where it gets mind-blowing.
I'm ready.
This level reveals that for Djinn, thought and action are intertwined.
Oh, wow.
Their very thinking shapes reality.
Seriously.
It's a concept that challenges our understanding of the world. It's like they're living in a world where imagination and reality are one and the same.
Whoa.
That's both incredible and incredibly dangerous, right?
Exactly. The document stresses the danger of interacting with Djinn.
Okay.
Because their reality-bending nature means even a simple conversation could have unforeseen and possibly catastrophic consequences.
It advises against any kind of negotiation with them.
Oh, really?
And warns that asking a Djinn to even consider a situation
why is that?
could be fatal.
Because their very act of contemplation could manifest that reality.
That's intense.
It's a stark reminder of the immense power differential between Djinn and mortals.
But there's a glimmer of hope, right?
Yeah.
The document suggests that exceptionally strong-willed individuals might be able to resist a Djinn's influence.
That raises a fascinating question.
Okay.
What are the limits of a Djinn's power?
Right.
Can human will determination, or perhaps even magic, counter their reality-bending abilities?
It's a good question.
It's a question that has no easy answer.
For sure.
But now let's move into even more rarefied territory.
Okay.
The art of binding a Djinn.
Oh, that's cool.
This is level 9, and it's where things get truly magical and incredibly dangerous.
This is the stuff of legends, right?
It is.
The idea of capturing and controlling a Djinn, bending their power to your will.
It's a practice reserved for the most skilled and daring magicians.
Wow.
And even then, it's fraught with peril.
I bet.
The document makes it clear that binding a Djinn isn't just about spells and rituals.
Right.
It requires deep knowledge, cunning.
Yeah.
And a willingness to face unimaginable risks.
And the first step is incredibly tricky.
Yeah, what's that?
You need to know the Djinn's true name.
Oh.
The document says that's often guarded more fiercely than any treasure.
I can imagine.
And on top of that, you need a piece of the Djinn's physical being, a fragment of its essence.
How do you even get that?
That's the challenge, right?
It's a testament to the challenge.
Yeah.
And the almost insurmountable odds.
Right.
The document actually mentions these deadly riddle contests with Djinn, where the goal is to guess the other's name.
That sounds intense.
It's a battle of wits with the highest possible stakes.
And as you mentioned earlier, the only known mortal to succeed in this endeavor was Padishah Ishaq bin Assad.
That's right.
His name keeps appearing.
It does.
Almost like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
And an inspiration at the same time.
I agree.
So let's say, hypothetically,
okay,
you've managed to learn the Djinn's true name and acquire a piece of its essence.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Then comes the binding ritual itself. And the document describes it as incredibly complex.
Oh, wow.
It requires a focus crafted from the Djinn's vulnerable metal, but it has to be in its purest form.
Okay.
Any impurity, any mistake could lead to disaster.
It's like diffusing a magical bomb.
A very good analogy.
With the potential for catastrophic consequences if you get it wrong.
Exactly.
And even if you succeed, there are still risks. Right.
Absolutely.
A bound Djinn can exist in two states, active or dormant.
Okay.
An active Djinn can be compelled to perform tasks for its master.
Interesting.
But there's always a forbidden request. A question that, if asked, will grant them freedom.
It's like a genie granting wishes, but with a potentially deadly catch.
Exactly. What about a dormant Djinn?
A dormant Djinn enhances the magical properties of the object it's bound to.
Okay.
It's less risky than an active Djinn, but still dangerous if the object is destroyed, potentially releasing the Djinn back into the world.
So no matter how you do it, binding a Djinn is a gamble with incredibly high stakes.
Yeah, it is.
The allure of controlling such power is tempting, but the potential consequences are terrifying.
It's a testament to human ambition. And perhaps our folly. That we would even attempt such a thing.
It's like the ultimate challenge.
It really is.
But that brings us to the final level, level 10.
Oh, okay.
And it's here that the document reveals a truth about Djinn death.
What is it?
That is both captivating and unsettling.
I'm intrigued.
This is the part that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's not just about how difficult it is to kill a Djinn.
Right.
But what happens afterward?
The document describes this concept of Djinn essence,
Okay.
the energy that infuses the location of their demise.
Hmm.
And what's remarkable is that this essence can be harvested
Oh, wow.
and used for incredibly potent magic.
What kind of magic?
We're talking about magic capable of healing, extending life, and even resurrecting the dead.
That's crazy. It's almost like the ultimate power.
It is.
The ability to manipulate life and death itself.
And that's the question the document leaves us with.
Okay.
What are the ethical implications of such power?
Right.
Who would wield it?
Yeah.
And what would be the consequences?
It's a thought that lingers long after you finish reading.
I agree.
We've journeyed through the levels of Djinn knowledge, starting from basic encounters and ending with the possibility of harnessing their very essence.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been.
And I think the most profound takeaway is this.
What's that?
Djinn represent a world where thought becomes reality,
Right.
where the boundaries of perception are constantly shifting.
Yeah,
It challenges us to consider the unseen forces that might be shaping our world,
definitely.
forces that we may not even be aware of.
So as we conclude our deep dive into the world of the Djinn,
Right.
we encourage you to keep exploring,
Yeah,
delve deeper into the source material,
absolutely.
ponder the mysteries that remain unanswered,
Uh-huh.
and let your imagination soar.
I like that.
The world of the Djinn is a place where anything is possible,
Yeah.
and where the line between magic and reality is always blurred.
It's a fascinating world for sure.
Thanks for joining us.